Welcome to Jank Play TCG. My name's Landon, and here we play Jank. And today I'm going to be going over what I'm calling the Jank list for Scarlet Violet Temporal Forces. These are the Jank cards you want to be keeping your eye on because they're going to be fun to play around with. They might be good, they might be meta, they might be bad, and they just might be something stupid fun, right? So yeah, that's basically what this list is. Rather than going through the entire set, I'm just going to pick out a few select cards. And when I say a few select cards, apparently I meant over 40 of these things. Because holy cow, there are some fun cards in Temporal Forces. I do want to shout out quickly, translations were from Justin Basil. Thank you so much for the translations. Although by the time this video comes out, I believe the official English scans will be out. So sorry. I got a shot in my arm yesterday. It had completely destroyed my shoulder. Not destroyed it, but I'm in a lot of pain. So I'm going to get through this as fast as I can because I really want to bring you this information. So let's get started. And first thing, of course, is Breloom. Why can't they give Breloom a decent card? What the heck is going on with this? 1 energy, 30 damage. Okay, it's on a stage 1, so I guess that's fine. It's a colorless, but you're not playing it because of that. And then Knuckle Impact for 2 energy, it's 120 damage. That'd be okay. But then you can't attack during your next turn. So what's the point, right? Like, come on. Give Breloom a fighting chance. Next up, we do have Shaman here. Shaman does have, it's a basic, right? So it's very easy to drop down and use. And in addition to that, for a 1 grass energy, for a single grass energy, or a Aurora energy, or not Aurora, what is it? Luminous energy, you can do Pinpoint Dive. This attack does 60 damage to one of your opponent's benched EX or benched Pokemon V. Obviously, you don't apply weakness or resistance. This is a good, like, oh, you retreated to not have that Pokemon KO'd. You know what? I don't have Boss's Orders, but what I do have is Shaman, Luminous, retreat into Shaman. Shaman attacks your bench, boom, knocked out. Now, it won't work against Terra Pokemon, and it won't work if Manaphy's out on the field, but it's still a fun option. It's a spicy addition to a deck. If you're playing Luminous Energy, you could throw just one copy of Shaman in, and then you've got that 60 damage to the bench when you need it, right? So I do like Shaman for that. Next up, we've got Grumpin, right? That's its name? I didn't put the names in because I'm silly. And that's going to become a real problem when I get to Gen 9 Pokemon because I got to remember those ones. Still learning. But for a single colorless energy, you can search your deck for up to 2 Grubbin and put them on your bench, then shuffle your deck, which is great because it's setting up. It's a setup Pokemon, right? And that means you can use your Buddy Poffins, your Nest Balls on other Pokemon, get those in play, and then you'll get 2 Grubbin with this attack, which I really like. I like the fact that it's 2, because your opponent will most likely only be able to knock out 1. Yeah, that's the main thing that I'd be disappointed in, the fact that, like, these Grubbins are probably going to get knocked out. Just one of them, though, so you'll still have 2, but you need more. It's going to evolve into this sweet Vikavolt that we will be talking about later. Next up, we've got, oh, what is this? Bramblegas. I do have the list here, over here, but, yeah. Bramblegas. Here we go. With the sweet ability, Weedy Resistance, I love it. For each prize card your opponent has taken, this Pokemon has 50 more HP. So it's got 100 HP base, right? If your opponent has taken 3 prize cards, that's a 250 HP Pokemon. Plus, we have ways to increase that even further. Luxurious Cape, first thing that comes to mind. So then you'd have a 350 HP Pokemon. And that's if they've taken 3 prize cards. If they get all the way up to taking 5 prize cards, Bramblegas has what? 350 HP plus the Luxurious Cape for 450 HP. That's pretty massive. And then you look at Powerful Needles. 80 times damage. Flip a coin for each energy attached to this Pokemon. This attack does 80 damage for each heads. So it's one of those flippy attacks, but we like it because it's for each energy. So theoretically, as long as we can get a bunch of energy on there, we can use this attack and possibly hit big numbers. Also, it just says energy. It doesn't say grass energy, so any type of energy you get on there. I'm looking at Baxcalibur, right? Being able to accelerate any type of energy onto there. You know, there's something there to use Brambleghast with Baxcalibur, or maybe Matang, or something else. Whatever you want, but yeah, powerful attack, and that ability where it just gets stronger and stronger the later into the game you are. Oh, wrong. There we go. Next up, we do have kind of an odd one. Rabska, I believe. This one is mostly about the ability here. Spherical Shield. Prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to your benched Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. It's like Manaphy and Jirachi into one, right? It's those two cards in one. It is on the stage one where Jirachi is a basic, Manaphy is a basic, but it takes up one bench spot rather than the two if you need both out. So I do like this. I think this could see play in those decks that value bench space, but they have that one slot that they can put down on the bench. If you've got Manaphy, Jirachi, Barrel, and Squavette on your bench, you've got one more bench spot. That's a lot to give just for support. This removes one of those, being the Manaphy and Jirachi, and replacing it with itself. Stage 1 might be an issue, but I like it. I still really, really like it. Oh, yeah. Whoopsie. I need to go back. Is that back? Yeah, there we go. Here we got Slugma. Slugma's fun. I like the Torch Seer attack. 10 plus damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is burned, this attack does 40 more damage. So you can do 50 damage plus burn. That's going to be 70 damage for a single energy on a basic. I actually really like that. You just got to be able to get burn somehow on there. I think I had an idea, but I forgot it between me making this slideshow and me recording this. Whoopsie. But yeah, it'll probably come up later in this slideshow too. Next up, we've got Victini. I'd like this as just kind of a nice starting Pokemon for many decks. For a colorless energy, you can just shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 6. Refresh your hand with an attack. It's not going to survive very long with the 80 HP, but it still is a benefit that needs to be recognized, I think. It's an attack where something like the Cleffa from Obsidian Flame, right? 0 energy, draw up until you got, 7 cards? That's really good for those decks that really need to set up early on. Victini can be another option there, especially in a fire deck. Then you have the Burn Away attack, 30 damage, discard a special energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. Special energy are currently really hard to recover, so I really like Victini being able to disrupt that way. There could be something, a little bit of a stall or a little bit of a disruption strategy with that. I think it's interesting, and I think it needs to be respected going forward. Next up, here we go. We've got, what is that, Sizzlipede? Is that the evolved form or is that the pre-evolution? Centiskorch, that's right. Sizzlipede is the pre-evolution. The basic Centiskorch is the stage 1. And we've got this. The first attack is just burning. It's just burn, which isn't great because they'll flip a coin before their turn to see if they heal and after their turn to see if they're healed, which isn't great. You're going to want another way to burn. And I know Magcargo is a way to burn. The reason why I didn't bring up Magcargo with Slugma is that Magcargo evolves from Slugma, and Magcargo requires the opponent to switch their Pokemon during their turn to place burn, which again, they'll still have a flip before it turns back to your turn. So you're really going to want something that can just burn, right? I think there is something, but I can't remember it. And I can't remember if it's in rotation. I'm so bad at this. I'm so sorry. But we really want to focus on that second attack. 2 fire energy, 180 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is not burned, this attack does nothing. So you got to get that burn on there. That's where Macargo might come in with this. Lots of stage 1s in this theoretical deck. But I do think Centiskorch has some room to play and be able to, take advantage of it and whatnot. Next up, oh yes, this Frostmoth. There we go. It doesn't seem like much. It's a stage 1 with 110 HP, 2 weakness, no resistance. Like, it doesn't seem much. But for 2 energy, 100 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't attack. And I got a picture of Iron Bundle up here because in my Soars League, the limited sealed league that we play, I've been rocking Iron Bundle. It got me 2nd place in Paradox Rift. There was a time where I wasn't going to the store, personal reasons. Fans of the channel know. But that's why I play 2nd instead of 1st. But Iron Bundle has a similar attack where for 3 energy, if the defending Pokemon is an evolution Pokemon, it can't attack during your opponent's next turn. It froze up so many decks. So many decks were struggling to keep up with Iron Bundle. I also had other ways to accelerate energy. Frostmoth does that even easier, being 2 energy on a stage 1 rather than a basic with 3 energy. And I just like it. It doesn't have that limitation of it has to be an evolution Pokemon. Just any Pokemon that you attack cannot attack back. Like, then what your opponent's going to have to do is either switch to an alternate attacker, or they're going to have to switch out of the active and switch back. The double switch. If you haven't seen my video about the double switch, go ahead and type into Google. Find it. Google or YouTube, I meant. Find it and check it out. But the double switch, that's the best way to deal with Frostmoth, and not a lot of people can deal with a double switch. Think about Charizards, right? They accelerate a lot of energy, but they need that energy, and if they have to retreat, that is time spent reattaching energy that Frostmoth can just take advantage of, right? Moving on. Ooh, Electivire here. Electivire may not seem like much, but I really like that first attack. Short Circuit Knuckle. 40 plus damage. If your opponent has any water Pokemon in play, this attack does 120 more. So you're looking at 160 damage if they have a water Pokemon in play. You don't have to be attacking the water Pokemon. As long as a water Pokemon is in play, 160 damage for 2 energy on a stage 1. That's legitly good. You could even double turbo this and do 140. Oh no! 140 is still really good. That minus 20 damage is not going to be that big of a deal. And picture of Manaphy on here, because who doesn't play Manaphy nowadays, right? The biggest issue I would see is you need to bait out the Manaphy, because people are not going to just throw Manaphy down on the field if they see an Electabuzz, right? But if you're hitting their bench constantly, then they're going to have to throw down the Manaphy. Then you throw down the Electivire, the double turbo, and start punching, right? I really like that. The 4 energy for 140 is terrible. Here we go. Vikavolt. Vikavolt, with that Grubbin we talked about earlier, being able to accelerate some of the basics out, we've got Serial Cannon here. 120 plus damage. This attack does 80 more, you heard right, 80 more damage for each of your bench Charjabug. So here is a Charjabug. Something I gotta clear here. It doesn't say benched Pokemon with Charjabug in its name. It is Charjabug. So Radiant Charjabug does not add to this. If it does on ptcgl, that's a bug, but just letting you know, it's just regular old Charjabug. And you might think, well, doesn't that mean damage is technically capped at 120 plus 240? 360 damage. Not that you really need to hit higher than that, but isn't that a problem? Technically, with a Pokemon that I'll show off later in this video, you can get 4 Charge Bug out with a Vikavolt in the active. Gonna be real difficult. Not always gonna happen, right? But you could. So that would mean that you can actually get up to, oh geez, math. 320 plus 120, 440? My math could be way off. But 4 Charge Bug, 80, 160, 240, 320, plus 120. Yeah, 2 energy too. Like, come on. That's awesome. Bolt Hunt here. Bolt Hunt is a fun one. You can see single colorless energy, and you can search your deck. That's the main part. Search your deck for up to 2 basic lightning energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon any way you want. Then shuffle your deck, right? I think that is phenomenal. There's other ones I'll attach from the discard and that kind of stuff. This one is from the deck, which is great for early on. If you can get that Yomper start and then evolve into Bolt Hunt, turn 2, you are doing 50 damage, which is not nothing, and attaching 2 energy at a time. I think that is just phenomenal. Real good. Highly recommend trying this out in some of your electric decks or even colorless decks. This would be a great way to power up some colorless Pokemon as well, because it's only limiting the type of energy, not the type of Pokemon you attach it to. You could also partner this up with a card later on. Let's see. Wug Trio EX. Of course I gotta talk about Wug Trio. Who doesn't like a good Wug Trio, right? And we do have a very good Wug Trio here. For a single energy, you can discard up to 3 energy cards from your hand, so you don't have to be attached or anything. You don't need energy acceleration. This attack does 60 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each energy card you discard in this way. So that is a max of 180 damage, but it's for a single energy, and it can hit benched Pokemon, right? I think that's phenomenal. Not everyone's going to, especially with Manaphy out. Well, they can just play Manaphy and negate this. You know what? You're right. They can. But for 2 energy, stun hold, 120 damage, and they can't retreat. Like, you can definitely knock out the Manaphy. Just boss, knock it out, and then continue to boss up worthless Pokemon, get trapped in the active, and be hidden their bench, right? Wug Trio just seems awesome, and I think it could see some play, especially if people stop playing Manaphy for some reason. Like, they're too reliant on their Terra to protect them, so they don't play it, and then you're just knocking out their pre-evolutions, right? Like, that's a possibility. Next! Oh, here we go. Come on. I know the name. Why can't I pronounce it? Reuniclus. I was surprised by this one. See, its basic had to attack 30 damage, flip a coin, if tails nothing. So 30 damage on a coin flip, right? And then its stage 1 had an attack where you flip 2 coins, 30 damage for each one. And I was like, okay, Pokemon, continue the trend. Stage 2, 3 coins, 30 for each heads. But no, they decide that's not good enough. And they're right, it wouldn't be good enough. But what they did give Reuniclus, there we go, is Summoning Gate for a single colorless energy. This is a stage 2 Pokemon, that's the hardest thing about. But single colorless energy, Summoning Gate. Look at the top 8 cards of your deck. 8 cards. That's equivalent to Bill's, Bill's Transfer? Something like that. Currently in the format, I believe it's from 151. I think it's called Bill's Transfer. Man, that's going to bug me. But you look at the top 8 cards of your deck, put any number of Pokemon you find there on your bench. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck. Just making sure they didn't change the... Nope, they did not change the translation. That is what it is, unless I'm incorrect, or, Justin Basil's incorrect. That means you can put other stage 2 Pokemon you find there onto your bench. So like I was talking about with the Vikavolt. Oh, we put 1 Vikavolt and 4 Charge-a-Bug. Look at that. Now we're at the 440 damage from Charge Bug. You're knocking out everything. I think you're knocking out... there could be something with like 350 HP, and then they give it upcoming ace spec, and then they have 450, and then you're not KOing it. Like, that'd be crazy. But yeah. 2 energy, 100 damage, active Pokemon's... your opponent's active Pokemon's now confused. That's not great. But Summoning Gate is seriously awesome. You could play a whole variety of, like, Stage 2 Pokemon, and then just whatever you need, Reuniclus it into the onto the bench, and then you've got it, right? I love it. I think that could be a real jank deck, right? Ooh, Rabombi, right? Yeah, Rabombi. It's got 1 attack, but I think it's worth talking about, right? And it's... oh, if that's business wages, that is hilarious. If that's really what it's translated to, I love it. 30 damage, not much, but if the defending Pokemon is knocked out during your next turn, take 2 more prize cards, meaning that single prize Pokemon that you just hit, if they don't get it out of the active, which that's why Calamitous Wasteland is here, try to increase their retreat costs so they can't get out of the active, but you hit it for 30 next turn, you knock it out, you're taking 3 prizes off that. If it's a 2 prize Pokemon, you're taking 4 prizes off of it. I like it because it's not just 1 extra card, it's 2. When it was just 1 extra card, something like this, it would be like, oh, well, I'm doing nothing 1 turn for, like, the next turn, I'm making up the turn I do nothing. This is making up 2 turns, if that makes any sense. If you expect to take 1 prize per turn, this is making up for the turn that you're hitting 30 and for the turn later. I hope that's making sense. Iron Valiant. Now, there's 2 different Iron Valiants in this set. Did I feel it was justified to talk about both? No. But I really like this one. Mostly the Majestic Sword attack. That's 100 damage plus. If you played a future supporter card from your hand during this turn, this attack does 100 more damage. 200 damage is phenomenal. The main issue I have with it is a 3 energy attack, and you gotta play a future supporter, right? We only got 2 future supporters now. It's Professor Turo's Scenario and Cryptomaniac something. I forget. But I don't think either are good enough on their own. They really need some help along. I think Professor Turo's Scenario is the best one because it lets you pick up a Pokemon and play. Discarding all cards attached kind of stings. But you know what I mean, right? You could play Penny, but then you're not getting the plus 100. Ooh. I forgot about Penny. Anyways, I think that's pretty good. Just having a single prize... Look, just think of Gardevoir, right? Gardevoir, where you pick up one of your Pokemon in play. Professor Turo's does not say one of your future Pokemon in play. But you got a Gardevoir EX, 310 HP. It's been hit. It looks like they're going to take the knockout next turn, right? Well, you just accelerate 3 energy onto this Iron Valiant. Then you play Professor Turo's Scenario. You pick up the Gardevoir. Sure, re-evolving it is going to be a pain. But what you can do is just have multiple Gardevoirs, which most Gardevoirs do. And then you have this Iron Valiant hitting 200 damage as a single prize Pokemon. Love it. I think that is phenomenal. And I think it could be a one of in Gardevoir decks. So you gotta watch out for that type of strategy, right? I think that could be something fun. Next up was this Iron Crown EX. So 2 things about this. I like the ability, which states your future Pokemon's attacks except a Iron Crown EX do 20 more damage to your opponent's active. Okay. You put one of these out and your future Pokemon are doing 20 more. Right, you get 4 of these out because it doesn't say you can't stack it. And you're doing 80 more damage, and that's pretty phenomenal for certain Pokemon. but its attack, I think, is something that we do need to take a look at. This attack does 50 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. This attack's damage isn't affected by weakness or resistance or by any effects on those Pokemon. Manaphy puts a effect on the field which is affecting those Pokemon, like, so I'm pretty sure it hits through Manaphy, or it hits through Terra, and that kind of stuff, right? So, you thought your bench was protected. Guess what? Iron Crown says it's not protected, and does 50 to 2. Now, 50 to 2 may not seem like a lot. 50 damage isn't great, but what it is that it is the, oh, you retreated and you're sitting on the bench. I've already used my 2 Bossasaurs for whatever reason. Most decks only play 2 at max. So I gotta get those KOs. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play Iron Crown, accelerate some energy onto it, and I'm going to hit 50 onto those 2 Pokemon that I almost have the KO. And maybe I can take 4 prizes at once, which you weren't expecting, right? So Iron Crown, something to watch out for. Yeah, pretty sure everyone has talked about this. Relicanth with the Memory Dive. Each of your evolved Pokemon can use any attack from its previous evolutions. Relicanth by itself is not important, not special, whatever, but you gotta mix it with some important evolutions, especially since, I just thought of this, and I don't know if it actually applies to anything, but especially since we just are having rotation happen, right? Which means we are, what am I trying to say? Or not rotation, but we still have yellow bordered cards. So we have older cards that maybe some of those Pokemon didn't have evolutions before, but now in Gen 8, or Gen 9, oh my gosh, Gen 9, they do have evolutions. And so they gave them a decent attack in the non-evolving version, but now in the evolving version, the higher evolution has a better attack, but sometimes you're going to want to use that lower evolution's attack, right? Thinking about Kingambit, right? And then there's that Bisharp, which does more damage based on the damage counters on the Pawniards in play, and, right, so you've got that Kingambit, but you also got this Bisharp, so Relicanth comes out on the scene, and you're just like, okay, now I can just, you know, use the Bisharp attack if it's going to hit better, right? So, yeah, I like it. I think it's going to be very jank, and it's going to be fun. Okay, this one I don't think enough people are talking about. I haven't seen a soul talk about this. So, we are going to start off, what is this Pokemon's name? Drillbur. Dilbur? Drillbur. Drillbur. Drillbur? Drillbur. There we go. Excadrill is its evolution. Ability, Dig About. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 3 basic fighting energy and discard them, then shuffle your deck. 2 damage, or 2 energy, 20 damage, who cares? But the ability, right, you're discarding fighting energy. But why would that be good, I hear you asking me through this webcam? Because of Koraidon? The Koraidon from Scarlet Violet with the Dino Cry ability. Once during your turn, you may attach up to 2 basic fighting energy cards from your discard pile to your basic fighting Pokemon and play any way you want. If you use this ability, your turn ends, which meant Koraidon would normally have to, like, tank a hit, right? But Drillbur is speeding up Koraidon. You have Koraidon. This is the scenario that I am predicting. You have Koraidon in play in the active. You're going first. Well, how am I going to get all this energy into the discard because I can't play Professor's Research? Oh, I have a way to search out Drillbur. Level Ball, if that's not rotating. Is that rotating? But you know what I mean, right? Mezagoza. Maybe you flip heads on Mezagoza. Who cares, right? You get Drillbur in hand. Maybe it's just in your hand at the start. So you play down that Drillbur, you discard 3 fighting energy from your deck, and then you use Koraidon's ability to attach it to your Koraidon, plus the 1 attachment for turn. Koraidon has 3 energy waiting for its next turn. It's just staring down your opponent like, I'm doing 220, turn 2, do you have anything to keep you alive? I love it. I think Drillbur is going to be a lot of fun for fighting decks especially. Let's move on. Oh, Golurk. There we go. So, the main thing that I want to talk about is its second attack. You can power up with 2 double turbo energy, which might seem like a ridiculous thing to do. but Fighting Fists, 120 damage plus. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a Pokemon EX or Pokemon V, this attack does 120 more damage. Okay, 240 damage to a Pokemon V or a Pokemon EX is phenomenal, right? I love that idea. Just go back to the Drillbur Koraidon idea, but now apply it to Golurk and it'll work, right? Or you do the 2 double turbos, so it's versatile, right? I like that. And if you do the 2 double turbos, okay, you're down to 200 damage. What'd I say about that Iron Valiant? And that was playing a supporter for turn. This is just playing 2 special energy, right? Like, come on. You gotta take this seriously, I think. I think it's gonna hit big, it's gonna hit hard, and it's gonna hit fast now, thanks to Drillbur and Koraidon. Ooh, Colossus? Dang it. Colossal. I was almost there. I like its first attack. I think this is something bizarre and awesome. Gatling Tar. Oh, that's a beautiful name. 40 plus damage. This attack does 80 more damage for each fire energy attached to this Pokemon. Yep, you heard me right. Each fire energy. So you just need something to accelerate the fire energy onto it. But for each one, you're hitting 80 more. So that's 1 fighting, 1 fire, you're hitting 120. Not great. Okay, 1 fighting, 2 fire, you're hitting 200? What? Like, that just accelerated so fast. 1 fighting, 3 fire, you're hitting 280 damage. Come on. This thing is awesome. I think it's going to get into some nasty business, and it's going to be a lot of fun. A Great Tusk. So this one, I believe this has been covered by Tricky Jim. Go ahead and check out that channel about this deck. But it is a mill Pokemon, right? Discard the top card of your opponent's deck. If you played Ancient Supporter card from your hand during this turn, discard 3 more cards. The reason why I like this more than that Iron Valiant is that I think Ancient does have better supporters. Great supporters, in fact. Professor Sada's Vitality reads, choose up to 2 of your ancient Pokemon, attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to each of them. If you attach Day Energy this way, draw 3 cards. So you got card draw, right? And then this Explorer card that's coming out. It just lets you look at the top 6 cards of your deck, choose 2 of them, discard the other 4. Now that might seem harsh, but at least it's drawing you cards. You're moving forward. You're getting the things you need to continue this strategy, and it feeds into the ground collapse attack of milling 4 cards. I think it's really awesome, and you know, like I said, Tricky Jim did a video. I haven't watched the video yet, but I'm sure it's a great deck that he shows off and looks phenomenal. Sandy Shocks. Why is it that these Gen 9 Pokemon getting the names immediately? But like Gen 8 Pokemon and Gen 5 Pokemon, I'm like, oh geez, what was that? So, Sandy Shocks. Another ancient Pokemon. A single fighting energy and it does 20 plus damage. If you have 3 or more energy in play, this attack does 70 more. Okay, that's 90 damage for a single energy on a basic. You just gotta have 2 other energy in play because the one attached to Sandy Shocks will count in that 3 or more. So I really like that. Just look at Drillbur, Koraidon, and then you have Sandy Shocks as like a decent one-hitter, right? Like just 1 energy hit. Like I need 90 more damage on this Pokemon. You got it. Done. Or less, you know. But yeah, I like it. I think it's a real sneaky card. Plus, it doesn't even have to be in a fighting deck. You just need a fighting energy on there, which can be provided with a luminous energy, or maybe you're playing a basic fighting. But you could play in any deck as long as you got 3 or more energy. It doesn't say fighting energy, just any types of energy. I like it. I really like it. Gengar. All right, so I actually pulled Gengar in the one pre-release I got to do, and I didn't get the Ghastly or Haunter, so I couldn't play it, right? And I don't love it, but I want to bring up something important, right? I found Minded and Plusle to be a very fun combo in my limited league, where as long as I got those two out, whenever my opponent played an energy on one of their Pokemon, they took 20 damage. That's cool, right? Just pinging your opponent. Well, Gengar does not have the same limitation as Minun. Minun says the effect of Buddy Pulse doesn't stack, right? So you can only have one Buddy Pulse trigger at a time. Where Gengar doesn't have that limitation, so if you have 4 Gengar in the field, that's 80 damage that they're taking, but it gets funnier. Let's throw in another Plusle and Minun. That is 6 Pokemon. That's your entire field. But whenever they attach an energy, they take 100 damage? Come on. And then you got this tricky steps, 160 damage for 2 energy. You may move an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon to one of their benched Pokemon. So you move that energy. Now, it won't be attaching to that Pokemon, so it won't trigger the effect, but then they'll have to attach another energy to their active, triggering the effect of Gengar and the Minun, and it's just hilarity, right? So that 160 becomes 260 quite fast. Next up, we've got this Sableye, and with 2 colorless energy costs, we have Damage Collector. Move any number of damage counters from your opponent's benched Pokemon to their active Pokemon, which is fantastic. It's a way to move a bunch of damage from all this spread that you might do onto a single Pokemon and knock it out, right? I really like it. Maybe I could come up with some sort of spin to spread damage deck or something along those lines, but this just seems like a great addition to that. Roaring Moon. So the second attack I won't talk much about, but the Vengeful Feathers I really like. 70 plus damage. This attack does 10 more damage for each ancient card in your discard pile. Earthen Vessel discards a card from your hand and lets you search out 2 basic energy, which are going to be dark energy, and then you're going to attach 1 to the Roaring Moon. Maybe you've got dark energy in the discard already, so you can do the dark patch thingy onto it, and then maybe you discard an ancient card with Earthen Vessel, and so you have 2 Earthen Vessel, or 2 ancient cards into the discard, and then your attack is doing 90, plus more, and more, and more, and as many ancient cards as you can play and get into the discard just makes Roaring Moon better. So I like that. I think it's fun. The only issue is that it shares a weakness with Charizard, and people are really anti-Charizard nowadays, so I really like seeing that. People really don't like the Charizard, do they? Yeah. Anyways, back onto the discussion. Scizor EX. The reason why I like this is that it's got a attack to use when setting up and a devastating big hit, right? So Steel Wing, 70 damage during your opponent's next turn. This Pokemon takes 50 less damage from attacks. So you have a way to kind of protect yourself. There's other tools that you can play and other things you can play to prevent more damage, which is just great. But then we have the Cross Breaker, which you do 120 for each energy, metal energy you discard from this Pokemon. Up to 2. Let me just read it verbatim. 120 times damage. Discard up to 2 metal energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 120 damage for each energy card discarded in this way. So you have an attack that you do 70, which is much, but then you're taking a lot less damage. 50 plus like a stadium and a tool, and I think that's another 50, so that's 100 less, and then you can get 2 energy on this guy and Crossbreaker. The only downside really is the fact that the first attack is 2 colorless while the second attack is 2 metal. Now I like the fact that the second attack is 2 metal, meaning you can always do 240 if you need it. But I really like the idea of using Matang, which is probably coming up, in order to accelerate the energy, in order to keep the Scizor going, right? We can also just play another Scizor down, or Scyther down to evolve into a Scizor and get that thing going, and Matang's going to help with that and all that jazz, right? But I really like the fact that Scizor has that sit and wait, let me set up a KO. Okay, now I can get the KO. And it's all in the same Pokemon, making it really strong. Boop. Matang, yeah, it was the next thing. So Matang, if you don't know, has an ability... Why is my stomach hurting? It's where my gallbladder was. I've had my gallbladder removed. Ability, Metal Maker. Once during your turn, you may look at the top 4 cards of your deck and attach any number of basic metal energy cards you find there to your Pokemon any way you like. Shuffle the other cards and put them on the bottom of your deck. So it's a way to get metal energy out and attached. It does only look at the top 4 cards, which does not leave much room there, but I still think it's a worthwhile ability to keep in mind when you're looking to accelerate energy onto metal Pokemon or colorless Pokemon, or who knows, other colored Pokemon that have metal in their energy costs, or just like other Pokemon that just have high colorless energy costs. Like there's some ideas brewing, okay? But yeah, something to keep an eye out on for. And then, of course, I gotta talk about Metang's older brother, Metagross. Metagross has a single steel energy attack, which isn't bad. 60 damage during your next turn. This Pokemon's Meteor Mash attack does 60 more damage. So once you do one, they are just doing 120 and continuing. But you also have a 200 damaging attack with... It does cost 4 energy. That is the rough thing about it. Then you gotta discard 2 energy from this Pokemon, and it's rough to get that. But I do like Meteor Mash, how it self-feeds, and maybe you're knocking out these lowly evolution Pokemon, your opponent's not able to get the right evolution out, and blah, 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 looking for their rare candy or something, and you're just able to get a couple cheeky KOs, and then, oh, something big. Let me do my big attack that Metang set me up for, sort of thing. Iron Treads. There we go. Iron Treads. The only reason why I'm bringing this up is the ability. The ability is, as long as this Pokemon has a Future Booster Energy Capsule attached, it is a fighting and metal type, making it a dual type. So I'm wondering how that works with the Loud mix. I could see an argument where it's still only one Pokemon, so it won't count it twice, but I could also see the argument that it is 2 types, so it counts as 2. And Toxicity with this could be a fun deck. I always thought Toxicity could make a fun deck. I think I built one, didn't I? Maybe I didn't show it off. I don't know. But being able to do more damage and then have all these different types in the deck that could be their own attackers, it just makes it a lot more interesting, a lot more fun, in my opinion. But yeah, something to keep an eye out for. Anything that asks for multiple types of Pokemon, just a tool attached to this guy, and it's multiple types, and I really like that. I think there's something to it. Koraidon. Dragon Pokemon here. Awesome. We've got Primal Battering, 30 times damage. This attack does 30 damage for each of your ancient Pokemon in play. Koraidon is an ancient Pokemon, so for 2 energy, you're doing at least 30, but at most 180, right? If all your Pokemon in play are ancient, that's 6 Pokemon that are ancient. 6 times 3 is 18 plus the 0 from the 30, and you got 180. That's really good for a single prize attacker. Plus you've got Professor Sada's Vitality, which, okay, they knock out your Koraidon. Oh no! Professor Sada's Vitality. I accelerate some energy, I attach some energy, I draw some cards, and I am hitting that again, right? It just is a fantastic combo that I really like, and I think it's really going to work out. Love it. And plus it also feeds into a card you'll see later on. It's an A-Spec card. It's a you gotta play it with Koraidon card. Next, I think it's Miraidon. Hey, I was right. So for a single colorless energy, 40 damage, search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards and attach them to your future Pokemon any way you like, then shuffle your deck. So I mentioned Bolt Hunt, which is a stage 1 doing 50 damage, searching out 2 lightning energy and attaching them how they want. Miraidon does that as a basic for 40 damage instead of 50. Oh no, only 10 less damage. but it's only to future Pokemon. So Miraidon will only work with the future Pokemon, which can be an issue, but there's a lot of cool future Pokemon that you could possibly build a deck around that you might want to also. So I really like this. I think it's going to make a future box sort of thing work out in the long run, because you can accelerate energy, and I think that's the biggest issue I ran into with my Iron Bundle deck, is how do I accelerate energy? Miraidon would have been great with that. Next, I think it's Miraidon again. It is Miraidon EX. Okay, so Repulsion Bolt, 60 plus damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon already has any damage counters on it, this attack does 100 more damage. So we've got kind of two options here. Spread damage, represented by the Spinda, and ability damage, represented by the Hawlucha, right? If you need damage on a Pokemon, attack earlier with Spinda, or play down a Hawlucha. Oh, I get to choose 2 bench Pokemon, put damage counters on. Well, those are 2 attackers. I'm going to put damage counters on them, and now Repulsion Bolt for 2 energy will do 160 damage, which is pretty good. I'm sad that it's on a dragon type, because you won't be hitting weakness on anything, but I still think 160 for 2 energy is something to keep in mind, right? Plus the Spinda damage or the Hawlucha damage, so really that's 170, and yeah. What is this Pokemon called again? Raging Bolt EX. Raging Bolt EX is a fantastic card. It's got 2 attacks. First attack is just a support, right? Discard your hand, draw 6 cards. It's a way to search out cards. And then its second attack for a lightning and a fighting. Cinematic Descent. Climatic Descent, sorry. 70 times damage. You may discard any amount of basic energy cards from your Pokemon. This attack does 70 damage for each card you discard this way. And of course, you gotta draw the comparison from Raging Bolt to Rayquaza VMAX. Rayquaza or Rayquaza? Let me know. Pretty sure I heard it in a movie that's Rayquaza, but I always called it Rayquaza. Rayquaza is a very similar Pokemon. You could argue Rayquaza is better, but there are certain things that makes it a different argument. First off, Rayquaza requires, sorry, that was difficult to say. Rayquaza requires to discard fire and lightning, and that's it. You gotta discard those, right? It's also a 3-prize Pokemon and that kind of stuff, but you gotta discard those 2 types, no other types, where Raging Bolt allows you to discard any type, which means Baxcalibur's on the menu. You can just be throwing down water energy as long as you get a lightning and fighting on this dude, and you are hitting an endless amount of damage. I mean, it is... Just think about Chimpao, right? Chimpao requires 2 water energy and does, I believe, 60 for each one you discard. This one does 70. Now, you do need that lightning and fighting, but you're doing 70, meaning your damage is going to add up to a lot quicker. Ugh. All right. What's next? Lickitung? Really? What could be good about Lickitung, I hear you saying? It's tongue reel. Your opponent reveals their hand, put up to 2 basic Pokemon you find there onto your opponent's bench. And I am thinking of partnering this up with Electivire. Let me hunt out that Manaphy out of your deck, or out of your hand, put it down on the bench. Oh, now you have a water Pokemon in play. Boom! 160 damage. Take that. I think it could be fun. Really, it's not anything too surprising, not anything too grand, but I do think it has potential, especially with messing up people's Manaphy and Jirachi plays. Maybe you're not playing a deck where it's where they need those to counter, but you get them down on the bench. Now they got 2 bench spots taken up. Those bench spots could have been an extra barrel or something else, and it's disruptive. Not saying Lickitung's going to be best card in format, but it's got its place. Okay, Dunsparce. 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 This guy is... Can we all agree? Stupidest evolution in a good way. I love this ability though. Dashing Draw. Once during your turn, you may draw 3 cards. If you do, shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached into your deck. You don't want to be attaching anything. You don't need to be attaching anything. But I'm just imagining that turn. Possibly turn 2. So turn 1. Buddy Buddy Poffin twice to get your Dunsparces out, right? And then turn 2, evolve, Dashing Draw, I draw 3. Oh, look, another Dunsparce. Dashing Draw, draw 3. Oh, look, another Dunsparce. Dashing Draw, draw 3. And you can just cycle it. And so, you know, on the second Dashing Draw, you might draw into a Dunsparce or a Dunsparce. On the third Dashing Draw, you might draw, it increases your chances of drawing into it. And on the fourth one, it increases your chances even more. And it's just hilarious, right? Imagine a turn where you draw 12 cards from the deck. How can that possibly be bad? Will it be functional is the real question, but I could seriously see this being a new support Pokemon. You play it down on the bench, you draw some cards, and it goes away. Like, how much more do you want? The barrel sits there, and that becomes a target for boss's orders. This doesn't. It gets itself out of the way. I like it. I really do, and I think it could be a fun jank play. Chatot. There we go. Chatot has the acapella attack. This first one here. And really, this is just because it's a better call for family. Search your deck for up to 3 basic Pokemon. Put them on your bench, then shuffle your deck. 3 basic Pokemon. You know what I'm thinking? Dunsparce. No, I'm joking. But seriously, just searching out 3 basic Pokemon, putting them on the bench. You mix Artisan in with that, you're in 4 out in 1 turn. Like, that's just really good basic Pokemon search, and it puts them out on play. And it can get around things like Gapejaw Bog, which might see more play. You never know. These things, they come about. I mean, going back to the Miraidon EX, Gapejaw Bog is a great one to play, so that they have damage counters on them, so you're doing 160. Anyways, back to Chatot. Yeah, that's it. 3 basic Pokemon. That's a really good Pokemon search. This one. Oh my gosh. Chinchou? Or is that the pre-evolution? No, I was right. Or is it Cincino? I don't know. I don't know. I swear, I've heard so many different ways to pronounce this. I'm going with Chinchou because I like it. It's referencing the chin, right? It's got a beard. I got a beard. I like it. So what we're thinking is this special roll, right? The second attack for 2 colorless energy, which doesn't really matter because you're going to want more than 2 energy on this, because 70 times damage. This attack does 70 damage for each special energy card attached to this Pokemon. I'm thinking Wigglytuff with this, right? Being able to attach an extra therapeutic energy or 2, depending on how many Wigglytuffs you got out, to this Chinchou in order to get it to do 70 times. This could lead to a ridiculous amount. The only thing I will say is it does say special energy card, meaning that sure, you could play those special energies where you get extra energy, but it doesn't really matter. It's just 1 card, right? The triple acceleration cannon thing, I don't know what it actually is called. Is it just triple acceleration energy? I don't know. I don't know why I said triple acceleration cannon. It sounds like something from an anime. But anyways, that could count for 3 energy, but it's still only 1 energy card. I hope that makes sense. Boop. Ooh, we're getting into the ace specs. I'm definitely gonna need the names. I don't know why I didn't. So here we go. I don't know why I put this in Indeedee. This Indeedee shouldn't be here. It should be with the Dunsparce. Whoops. Anyways, this is an ace spec. Draw a card for each of your ancient Pokemon in play. It's called Awakening Drum. Did I already say that? It's card draw for ancients. It's fantastic. It's an item card, right? It is an item card, right? Pretty sure it is. Yeah, that's an item card. It's got the same... Whoops, wrong way. It's got the same text right at the top there. And in the box below. So it's an item card. Draw as many cards as you have ancient Pokemon in play. It's phenomenal. You could be drawing 6 cards. Just a flat 6, right? I think this Indeedee... I was thinking the Psychic attack, where it does... Nope, this is... That Indeedee's just wrong. I'm going to skip it. If you have a Pokemon that is stronger the more cards you have in hand, the Dunsparce and Ancient Drum are going to be fantastic, right? Could you imagine both in the same deck? You'd be drawing so many cards. Why am I going to build this? Alright, this one. Boxed Order. Search your deck for up to 2 item cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. Your turn ends. The your turn end part does suck. I don't know what else to say about that. But being able to grab 2 item cards, whatever you want, from your deck for next turn is pretty good. I'm thinking turn 1, when you can't attack anyways, well, there's not much I can do. But if I get one more turn, this can give me a lot more. The only bad part about this is that you're going to want to play a 4-of to maximize your opportunities to have it in your opening turn, but then you're going to want to get rid of them once they're not useful. But that's what Ultra Ball's for, right? And Professor's research and stuff. Anyways. Buddy Poffin. I've mentioned it a few times here. It is, without the doubt, one of the best item cards coming in the Temporal Forces. Why? Because it replaces Battle VIP Pass in so many ways. Battle VIP Pass is I have a love-hate relationship with this card. It is one of the top played cards in competitive Pokemon. And I can never start with it in my hand, which is the only way you can play it. So, I hate this card. I try not to play it in my decks because I never start with it. I don't want to plan for it, and it never happened. Battle VIP Pass, you can only use this card during your first turn. Luckily, Buddy Poffin does not have that restriction. The restriction it does have is you search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less, put them onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. It's a nest ball for the decks that want low HP basics on the field, right? I like it. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to lead to a lot of memorable moments where the person gets out the 2 Pokemon they need the most, and they explode from there. So yeah, I like it, and goodbye Battle VIP Pass. Thank you for rotating. Alright, what is this one? Heavy Baton, I think? Heavy Baton, perfect. And this will basically be a must include if you're planning on attacking with a Pokemon with exactly 4 retreat. If their retreat cost is 4, and you plan on that being an attacker, this is a must include. Let me read it. If the Pokemon with a retreat cost of exactly 4 this card is attached to is your active Pokemon, that is confusing. All it's saying is, if this is attached to your active Pokemon that has exactly 4 retreat cost, there, and is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, move up to 3 basic energy cards from that Pokemon to your benched Pokemon in any way you like. That is saving your energy. Your Pokemon gets knocked out. Oh, well, I can just move on to this Pokemon. Attach a Heavy Baton, and it's my new attacker. Oh, you knock that out. Heavy Baton puts on another Pokemon. Move that into the active. Attach another Heavy Baton. Right? Like, it's just a time saver. And those high retreat cost Pokemon often have high attack costs. So it's just a wonderful card. Gonna see a little bit of play. I don't have a Pokemon specifically that I want to play it with, but I'll think of something eventually. Boop. Hero's Cape. Hey, we actually have like sort of English cards here. I think this is just a fan made. I don't know. I'm going with it. Hero's Cape. The Pokemon this card is attached to gets plus 100 HP. It's luxurious cape without giving an extra prize. Now, my biggest thing with this is that it's not limited, so you can attach it to EX Pokemon. Doesn't Charizard have like 320 HP? So 420 HP? Great. Right? Like, that's my biggest issue. But it is only a 1 of in decks, so maybe it won't be that big of an issue. Plus, most people are saying there are better A-specs to play. We'll see. Here we go. Here's another one. Maximum Belt. I didn't put Master Ball on this list because it's just so basic. But Maximum Belt. Attacks used by the Pokemon this card is attached to do 50 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX. It's basically a choice belt for Pokemon EX. I dislike that it's limited to an A-spec. We really just want a trainer. Like, we really just want a basic tool, not an A-spec to do something like this. We really need the choice belt for EXs to come eventually. I'm kind of disappointed it hasn't come already, but yeah, that's the situation. I think Maximum Belt is still good, especially for jank decks that need to be punching up a lot. This is going to be very helpful. If only there was a way to, like, recover it, right? Ooh, here we go. Here's a fun one. Perilous Jungle. During Pokemon Checkup, put 2 more damage counters on each poisoned Pokemon except any darkness Pokemon. I love poison as a strategy. I don't know if that has come through on the channel. I absolutely love it. I think it's phenomenal, right? It's a great way to play. It's so much fun. And it was pointed out on my Discord. I forget who said it, so I do apologize if you're listening. Just let me know in the comments. But basically, you can KO 50 HP Pokemon turn 1 before they go. You can actually dunk people nowadays. What you do is you got Brute Bonnet out with Ancient Booster Energy Capsule on it, right? You got Radiant Hisuian Sneasler. All right, that's just going to take a nest ball, you know? A nest ball to go get Radiant Hisuian Sneasler. You get that out. You play down Perilous Jungle. You poison the opponent's active Pokemon. They're going to take 50 damage. 2 more from Perilous Jungle. 2 more from Radiant Hisuian Sneasler, and the basic 10 from Poison. And you can knock out 50 HP Pokemon before they get a turn. That's pretty cool. Oh, another A-spec. What is this? Reboot Pod. Reboot Pod is a future card. Probably should have called that out for the earlier one, but whatever. The earlier ancient card, but whatever. We're moving forward, not backwards. Attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to each of your future Pokemon in play. So that is just another way to accelerate energy. Go back to that Miraidon I was talking about. Single energy, 40 damage attached to, well, here's an A-spec. We'll just grab all the energy from your discard, or at least 6 of it, or at most 6 of it, and attach it to your future Pokemon in play, right? Oh, attach A. Never mind. To each. Yes, there we go. Whew. Thought I got it wrong, but no, I got it right. What is this? Mist Energy? Mist Energy. Prevent all effects of attacks from your opponent's Pokemon done to the Pokemon this card is attached to. Existing effects are not removed. Damage is not an effect. So if they're already poisoned, this won't heal from poison. But you can't poison a Pokemon that has this. So for the poison strategy, you gotta be careful. The main thing that this does is counter Sableye, right? Sableye does an effect that puts damage counters on Pokemon. It would negate Sableye, it would not negate Spinda, right? So this is more reason why Manaphy may not be played, or Jirachi may not be played, is because we have solutions like this, right? Lastly, we got Neo Upper Energy, right? This card is if this card is attached to a Stage 2 Pokemon, this card provides every type of energy, but provides only 2 energy at a time instead, which is pretty cool. This could have been a regular special energy, and I would have said, hey, that's really good. As an A-spec, it's all right. You know, you're going to get it as a one-off. You're going to have that situation where I'm 1 energy behind. Let me attach this. It counts as 2, and now I'm back on track, sort of thing. Reversal energy is better, but reversal energy cannot be attached to Pokemon with a rule box where Neo Upper Energy looks like it can, and reversal energy only counts as 3 when you're behind on prizes. So there are a lot of limitations with reversal energy, but you get 4 copies in your deck rather than the 1 ace spec, right? So pick and choose, but I do think it's quite useful because it works on EX. Thank you for watching my Jank list. This was long. Let's see, over an hour. Wow. Thank you for sticking with me this long. I really appreciate you, and just thank you very much for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join the Discord, right? And anyways, I think that's... Wait, what's this? Let's see what I did here. Here is a sneak peek at Scarlet and Violet Twilight Masquerade, where they have already shown off the English versions of Ogerpon that are coming in the next set. Not Temporal Forces, but the set after that, which is just insane. And this Ogre Mask Trainer card, which is an item, thank goodness. And there are some real jank things you can do with this. So, what the item does is you get to choose a Pokemon EX in your discard pile that has Ogerpon in the name, and switch it with one of your Pokemon EX in play that has Ogerpon in its name. Any attached cards, damage counters, special conditions, turns in play, and any other effects remain on the new Pokemon. So you're able to basically switch the mask of your Ogerpon to fit whatever situation you're in. Now, the next thing we gotta talk about is energy, right? Good luck. I don't know how to make this work. I hope we get something, but I'm just seeing, you know, Ogerpon, grass type here. Once during your turn, you may attach a basic grass energy from your hand to this Pokemon. If you attach energy to a Pokemon in this way, draw a card. So you can have multiple grass ones out and attach multiple grass energy and be drawn multiple cards. That's pretty good. Then you can play Ogre's Mask and switch to something else. You'll need to get the right energy on them, but that's what energy search is for, right? Or Earthen Vessel. But then you can kind of swap into different things. Like this fire one, you might swap in when you have a lot of damage counters on, it's about to be KO'd. Well, might as well do a bunch of damage with Wraithful Hearth. Let's see, Torrential Pump here. 100 damage, you may shuffle 3 energy attached to this Pokemon into your deck. If you do, this attack does 120 damage to one of your opponent's bench. So you got some spread there, right? I think that's pretty useful. You just need 1 water and the rest can be grass. So, Ogre's Mask. Again, focusing on the grass one, swapping into the others. Then we've got this fighting one here. When fighting 2 colorless, 140. This attack damage isn't affected by weakness or resistance or by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So a Mimikyu would still go down. Plus, it has an ability, prevent all damage from attacks done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon that have an ability. Most Pokemon have an ability nowadays. And then they showed off this single prize Ogerpon, which I don't really care for, but it was shown off, so I threw it in here anyways. And that is the real end, and I hope you enjoyed that fake trickery. Let me know if you actually stuck around for the sneak peek, or if you left early. Wait, if you left early, you couldn't let me know. Wait, this isn't making sense.